I'm Patrick Watson, I'm an astrologer, and today we're going to talk about the 10 different types of Leos. You were born with the Sun in Leo, a fixed fire sign, the sign of the sun, the proud, the regal, the luminous, the heroic. It is domain over the world of entertainment and leadership, lights and vision. It rules the heart and back. Leos are the stars, the stately, the standouts. The selfish, the snobs, the center of attention. The stubborn, the striking, and the snuggly. Leos are all about pride, ego, and passion. The stereotype is that Leos are all attention-starved people trying to make it big in the entertainment industry or politics, and while you certainly do see that, there are also the quieter Leos who are about a different sort of pride, the pride of self-reliance and maintaining the integrity of their vision, being king or queen of their own domain. In other words, you have the Leos who are in front of the camera and the Leos behind the camera. One other strange thing I've noticed about Leos is that they tend to literally have a golden or fiery appearance, often having blonde hair, red hair, big hair, otherwise noticeable hair, like the mane of a lion. And that's another weird thing. In one way or another, the symbol of the lion keeps reappearing in surprisingly literal ways for people with the Sun in Leo. For example, J.K. Rowling is a behind-the-camera type Leo, commanding attention for her singular vision for a Harry Potter series, and the story focuses on the protagonists who are in the House of Gryffindor, which values bravery and heroism, very Leo-like traits. And what is the symbol of Gryffindor? A lion. And who did they get to play Harry Potter? Daniel Radcliffe, who was born with the Sun in Leo. So let's get this straight. A Leo actor portrayed a fictional character who's a Leo, who exhibits Leo traits and is in a house represented by a lion, which was all written by someone who also has the Sun in Leo. One way we can differentiate between Leo suns are the aspects made by the other planets. In this video, I'm just focusing on one aspect, the conjunction. A conjunction is when two celestial objects are close to the same degree in the sky, so different planets conjunct a Leo sun equals a different kind of Leo. Sun conjunct Moon in Leo. Halle Berry was born with the Sun and Moon in Leo, and she's someone who has always been at the top of her field and good at getting attention, a solidly successful actress, an Oscar winner, and formerly a beauty pageant winner. And given that Leo's symbol is a lion, this is who they chose to play Catwoman, after all. Sun conjunct Mercury. Mercury is the speaker, the comedian, the writer, the go-between. A couple of comedians stand out in this regard. James Corden and Andy Samberg were both born a few days apart during the Mercury retrograde in Leo of August 1978, on either side of Mercury's conjunction with the Sun. James Corden is kind of a classic comic actor who's now most known for his famous carpool karaoke segments on The Late Late Show, which have dominated on YouTube. And this is where he rides with the world's most famous musicians and they sing the songs in the car together. Also, we seem to keep seeing him as a lion. Meanwhile, Andy Samberg is one of the first YouTube stars to use the medium to reach mainstream success, being co-opted into Saturday Night Live and having helped bring the show into its digital shorts era on YouTube. What's interesting is how YouTube has figured into the success of both men. In Samberg's case, it was instrumental to his rise, whereas in Corden's case, it was instrumental to his branching out at the top. And this begins to make a little more sense once you consider who it was that was born in the eye of the storm of the Mercury retrograde in Leo they were both born in. On August 19th, 1978, when the Sun was conjunct Mercury in Leo, Steve Chen was born, and he was the one who wrote the first coding for YouTube.com. And this is a platform where anyone can be a director or an actor to shine their own light, to become a star. So yeah, writing the code for an entertainment platform is pretty much Mercury and Leo-ish. Sun conjunct Venus in Leo. Venus is the planet of beauty, art, and relationships. Tori Amos was born with the Sun conjunct Venus in Leo, and she was a musical prodigy as a child who blossomed into a celebrated and highly original musician and performer. While she's a very Venus-y person, she doesn't just write love songs. Her music focuses on different topics about sexuality, feminism, politics, and religion. Most interestingly is that she experiences music as structures of light. In her own words, "The song appears as light filament once I've cracked it. As long as I've been doing this, which is more than 35 years, I've never seen the same light creature in my life. Obviously, similar chord progressions follow similar light patterns, but try to imagine the best kaleidoscope ever. After the initial excitement, you start to focus on each element's stunning original detail. For instance, the sound of the words with the sound of the chord progression combined with the rhythm manifests itself in a unique expression of the architecture of color and light. I started visiting this world when I was 3, listening to a piece by Bela Bartok. I visited a configuration that day that wasn't on this earth. It was euphoric. I find this interesting because Leo rules lights, since it's ruled by the sun. And so with the sun conjunct Venus in Leo, she experiences music as lights. Sun conjunct Mars in Leo. Mars is the planet of anger, boldness, coarseness, being rough around the edges. Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit was born with the sun conjunct Mars in Leo. He's most known for his angry vocal delivery of fragile testosterone anthems for Limp Bizkit, the musical soundtrack of safe rebellion for the teenage years of many suburban grown millennial white men. In an ancient time known as the late 90s and early 2000s, Fred Durst was a bad boy in music, a chest-beating, braggadocious oaf, who constantly started feuds with other artists and was generally what we refer to now as a colossal douchebag. One of his most infamous moments was when he incited violence at a raucous crowd at the 1999 Woodstock concert, where several sexual assaults ended up happening. He's also been charged with assault and battery multiple times because he's a hot-headed asshat and getting into dangerous situations. And just, he's Sun conjunct Mars in Leo. But the Sun and Mars in Leo aren't completely ignoble. The actor Nikolai Coster-Waldau was born with the Sun and Mars conjunct in Leo, and he's most known for playing Jaime Lannister on Game of Thrones, which is interesting because his character is a knight, often adorned in gold and red colors, under a banner featuring a lion. And in the show, his nickname is Kingslayer, which is a pretty succinct summary of Sun conjunct Mars in Leo. I have no idea what he's like personally, but actors often take on roles which are dramatic representations of features of the natal chart. Actors have types of roles they're born to play, literally. Sun conjunct Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter is the planet of excess, indulgence, and being generally awesome. Mick Jagger was born with the Sun conjunct Jupiter and Pluto in Leo. And, well, how else do you say it, other than that he is Mick Jagger, larger than life. He's one of the most popular and influential frontmen in the history of rock and roll. He's been doing this for over half a century. The man won't die. Like Jupiter, he's spread his seed far and wide, and like Pluto, his raw, unfiltered vocals and primal sexual dance has been described as chthonic and Dionysian. There is literally a terrible song about using his dance moves as a point of reference for a man's ability to seduce a woman, so yeah, Mick Jagger is a hell of a Leo, and with Pluto in the mix to an extreme degree. Sun conjunct Saturn in Leo. Saturn is the planet of hard times and rejection. Arnold Schwarzenegger was born with the Sun conjunct Saturn and Pluto in Leo. His father was especially strict and unloving, due to suspecting Arnold was not his biological son. The profound rejection and abuse that Arnold suffered as a child fueled his ambition to leave Austria by developing himself into the ultimate bodybuilder and to become an actor. Grim determination to become stronger because of abuse? Yeah, this is all pretty Saturnian. Even his most famous role is very Saturn-Pluto-ish, a virtually unstoppable killing machine that speaks in a monotone, the Terminator. And yet, despite these struggles and Saturnian influence, he's distinguished himself as a bodybuilder, actor, and surprisingly competent governor, with the solar qualities of the Sun in Leo having served him well. Sun conjunct Uranus in Leo. First of all, here's a funny thing about Uranus and Leo. So, Uranus has an 84-year cycle, and it's supposed to be about disruptive innovations and stuff. So, get this. The gaslight was first invented during the Uranus and Leo period of the late 1780s. A Uranus cycle later, the incandescent light bulb was invented during the Uranus and Leo period of the 1870s. And then in the last Uranus and Leo period of the 1950s, the first laser was invented. So, yeah. Every time Uranus comes around to Leo, we seem to advance the way we light up our world. And Leo is ruled by the sun, after all, which is, a big light in the sky. Dirt! Also, Leo is supposed to rule the heart, and another invention we got during the last Uranus and Leo period of the 1950s was the pacemaker, which literally gives your heart a little electric shock to keep it going. And this is Uranus and Leo. As for people who were born with the Sun conjunct Uranus and Leo, my two examples have pretty wide conjunctions, but I think they still count. Leo is the entertainment world, and Madonna was born with the Sun, Venus, and Uranus in Leo. And yeah, she's effing Madonna. The queen of pop. The most influential female pop artist ever, basically. And she's got the Leo mane and everything. Remember what happened in that Like a Virgin video? She gets, seduced by that guy in the lion mask or whatever. So, yeah. Also, if you're wondering about the king of pop, Michael Jackson was born just a couple weeks after Madonna with Mercury, Venus, and Uranus in Leo. And he also revolutionized and upended entertainment through his music and dance. So, yeah. Uranus and Leo. Barack Obama was born with the Sun, Mercury, and Uranus in Leo. and I think that as the first black president of the United States, it's appropriate he was born when Uranus was in Leo. Since Leo concerns the domain of leaders and Uranus is disruptive and upending, the example of his presidency has in effect blown it wide open to everyone who isn't a white male. And with the Sun and Mercury in Leo, it's beyond dispute that he is a gifted orator, and at least in my estimation, had a knack for true leadership. Speaking of Uranus and Leo, one upending of leadership that occurred during the last one from 1955 to 1962 was the Cuban Revolution, which is very interesting because Sun conjunct Neptune. Fidel Castro was born with the Sun conjunct Neptune in Leo, and the Cuban Revolution ended in victory as Uranus was in Leo, approaching Castro's Sun. Neptune is idealism, charisma, and illusions, and he was this revolutionary, charismatic, utopian communist leader, leading a tiny country to have this outsized role in world affairs, and being the subject of a cult of personality in Cuba. This is no ordinary Leo. But as with all things Neptune, all that glitters isn't gold. He was also a totalitarian leader, committed various human rights abuses, and drove many Cubans to flee to America. Also, side note about Neptune and Leo. Neptune was in Leo from 1914 to 1929, which is basically when going to the movies really took off as a form of popular entertainment. And what exactly does a giant African cat have to do with the movies from this period? Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. Sun conjunct Pluto in Leo. Pluto is extremes, transformational, concerning power. James Cameron was born when the Sun was conjunct Pluto in Leo. He's a literal behind-the-camera Leo. One of the most visionary, successful, and influential movie directors ever. Period. His movies take us to extreme places in life-or-death situations. In outer space, traveling through time, on the ocean floor, facing death on a sinking ship, flying through alien worlds, etc. What's more, he's actually gone to some of these places. He's on a very short list of people in the world who have traveled down to the Mariana Trench, the deepest spot of the Pacific Ocean. And he's pioneered major advances in film, 3D technology, IMAX technology, deep-sea cinematography. Also true to Pluto, he's been described as a dictatorial and uncompromising director, cruel and selfish, but it's hard to argue with his results. So yeah, in the area of entertainment, Leo, he's been a leader and transformational figure, Sun conjunct Pluto. Leos and other Pluto figures make up his most frequent collaborators. His most frequent film scorer, James Horner, was also born with the Sun conjunct Pluto in Leo. Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator movies and True Lies was also born with the Sun conjunct Saturn and Pluto in Leo, like we already discussed. Edward Furlong from Terminator 2 was also born with the Sun conjunct Saturn in Leo. Sam Worthington from Avatar was also born with the Sun conjunct Saturn in Leo. Michael Biehn has appeared in 4 of Cameron's movies, and he was born with the Sun conjunct Uranus in Leo. Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic was born with Pluto on his ascendant, and Kate Winslet from Titanic was also born with the Sun conjunct Pluto. So yeah, I'm thinking this is probably a common phenomenon in Hollywood. Sun conjunct multiple planets in Leo. When I first saw this chart, it's hard not to notice that this person has a Sun, Venus, Mars, Pluto conjunction. This is someone you'd have to say is super intense and dramatic, someone who might be a hothead, but also affectionate to an extreme degree. Someone whose identity is tied up in themes of sex and violence, perhaps. And this is the chart of Gloria Brain, and she's a clinical sexologist whose sex therapy practice specializes in BDSM, sexual fetishes, and sexual dysfunction. Oh my, getting hot under the collar. Oh dear. Oh Lord, Lord. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. No. Oh dear. If you like this episode, please like it, please comment, please share, please hit subscribe on YouTube so you can see when my next ones come out. They usually come out every week-ish. If you're super awesome and you want to keep these videos coming, please consider giving me a measly $1 on my Patreon page, and I will see you next time. And to all those Leos out there who are having their birthday this month, happy birthday. Oh my. Getting hot under the collar. Oh dear. Oh